Dr. Arvind Gupta, ladies and gentlemen, friends, thank you for asking me to speak at your workshop on developing indigenous concepts and vocabulary, Kautliya's Arthasastra. Don't worry, I won't repeat what I said last year at this occasion. But I came because, frankly, this is a very welcome initiative that you have taken in the IDSA to carry forward the work that you started last year. I was very impressed by the range and the scholarship reflected in the papers that you've circulated, and I'm looking forward to actually reading them. We've come a long way since you held that workshop a year ago, and when I see the kind of interest that it has aroused, I must congratulate you, Arvind, and the IDSA on what you've done. The reason this is a very welcome initiative is because, in my opinion, the study of Kautliya is one of the significant ways in which we can become more self-conscious and about the strategic culture which we have and in which we can contribute to its evolution. Because too much of our earlier scholarship on the Arthasastra attempted to apply the Arthasastra mechanically or formulaically to present policy dilemmas or issues. Now that might be useful. It gives you certain insights in a tactical sense. I mean, for instance, I actually personally believe that if you applied a Kautilyan analysis to our present Pakistan policy or nuclear policy, you wouldn't come up with anything very different from what we actually do. But anyway, that's a different argument. But the larger point is that a mechanical application of Kautilyan formulae to our present condition does not contribute to building our capability to think strategically. So your seminar, therefore, is especially useful because it will do so. What then do I think we should be studying in the Arthashastra? Exactly what you're proposing to do, the concepts and even more significantly the ways of thinking that the Arthashastra reveals. This is useful for many reasons. For me personally, I find it's useful because in many ways the world which we face today of multiple states, of several major powers, of an uneven but lumpy sort of distribution of power among those major states, even while the system has one predominant military power. I mean, that system that we see is similar to the world in which Kautilya operated, or Vishnugupta operated, when he built the modern empire into greatness. There are no exact parallels in history. I mean, I'm not saying that, yes, you can draw exact, but there are certainly ways of thinking conditioned by context and similar circumstances. Our technologies, our experiences today may be very different from what Kautilya knew, but human attitudes, human nature, politics, and strangely, state behavior do not appear to have changed quite as much, or quite so drastically as to be completely unrecognizable. In other words, what we have is, since Kautilya's time, you have a multiplication of theories about politics, international relations, use of force, and so on. But politics itself has not changed that much. It's interesting when you go back to the Arthashastra, and that might explain why the Arthashastra, or rather Chanakya Niti, is so integral to our strategic culture and to the ways in which the ordinary Indian thinks of these issues. The Arthashastra is certainly not the only work. In fact, as a work, it's probably not familiar to the popular mind. But most of the other works which have influenced it actually drew from the Arthashastra, drew from Chanakya Niti. The one that has the most influence probably is Shanti Parva in the Mahabharata, or the Panchatantra. I mean that, but all of them acknowledge their debt to Chanakya, to Kautilya. And they are the works which actually play this formative role in popular thinking. In academic thought, you have a very heavy overlay of modern Western thought from the 19th, 20th centuries, and that's slightly different. But when you get out into the popular mind in India today, and our popular strategic culture, certainly there is no escaping going back to the Arthasastra and to Kautliya and Chanakya Niti. If Kautilyan ideas of the mandala, of the basic functions of the state, of the necessity and the justification for the use of force, of raison d'etat, of the balance of power, which is basically the mandalas, are part of popular vocabulary and thinking on politics and international relations. And much of this is now unself-conscious and instinctive. So your work is important in bringing us to a stage of being self-aware, of being aware of what we are actually doing in this process. The last few years have seen a considerable progress in this direction. When you think back to the time when the first director of the IDSA, Dr. Subramaniam, plowed a lonely furrow, there's been a significant increase in the number of scholars, in the number of think tanks, in the number of institutions which teach, research, comment on strategic issues. The problem now is not one of quantity. I think it's of quality. It's of coherence, it's of analytical rigor, and in that effort. And most important, I think, is the question of relevance to Indian conditions and needs, which cannot result from a wholesale borrowing of concepts and ideas from abroad. So therefore, I welcome what the IDSA has done, and you're continuing to lead this effort, which is truly, it has to be a national effort, as it has been, I think, from the beginning. And I'm most impressed by what you have done. With these few words, let me wish you success, fulfillment in your work on Kautilya, and encourage the IDSA to continue its good work, and wish your workshop every success that you desire. Thank you. Thank you very much.